Hello, my name is Julia Gates, and this is my book and build activity. I chose the book The Good Egg by Jory John, which is an awesome picture book for elementary age students that touches on some important social emotional concepts. The book begins with an egg carton full of eggs, and among the egg carton are some bad eggs and one good egg. So, the good egg is our storyteller, and he explains that while he's always doing the right thing, the other eggs around him are not. And he tries to take charge and control the other bad eggs' behavior and try to help them be good eggs like him. Because of this, he actually cracks from all of the pressure he's under because he's so worried about making other eggs as good as he is. And that pressure causes him to crack. So he decides to find himself again by leaving the carton of eggs and going on a little adventure and taking time for himself. So, as he's off on his own, he practices some great self care things like going on hikes, he meditates, he does stargazing, he practices deep breaths, and just does some of his favorite things so that he can take his time to heal and get back to who he really is. Once he decides that he feels more like himself again and he's ready to be around the others, he heads back to his egg carton. But this time, his outlook is a little bit different. Instead of expecting the other eggs to be good like him, he realizes that the eggs are themselves and they don't have to be perfect, just like he doesn't have to be perfect. So he begins to have a little bit of fun. He learns that it's okay to make mistakes, and he no longer tries to be perfect like he had been prior to at the beginning of the book. I think this is a great conversation to have with students. Of course, it is okay to make mistakes. So this would be a great message for your perfectionist students who need to learn that mistakes are going to happen and ways to accept that. So what you can do after you've read this book in your makerspace is create a basket full of eggs where every student makes their own egg that represents themselves. And after students have made those eggs, they're going to put them together in a basket to show that while we are all different in our own unique ways, we can come together and work together as one. What you'll need to do this activity is plastic Easter eggs. That's going to be your most important part. Every student will get their own plastic Easter egg. So if you celebrate Easter and you have those at home, make sure you keep them because you can recycle them for this activity in your library. The other materials that you could provide students are really up to you. So I gave you some suggestions here like tissue paper, yarn, markers. You can use crayons. You could use glitter or sequins or sprinkles, whatever you think will help the students make a representation of themselves. And of course, you're going to want to give them glue so that they can keep it all together on their egg. Once students have the materials, each student is going to design an egg that they feel represents them. So they might design this egg based on the colors they use or the design they use, even the materials they use to help represent a part of themselves and what makes them unique. Once all the students have made their egg, you're going to place them inside of a basket, and that represents that classroom of students and how each student is unique and different in their own way, but all those eggs come together and work together as one. I think this is an awesome activity that promotes some really important ideas. So in my library, I would definitely use this book to discuss, topics of professionalism, even correcting others, and also self-acceptance. I would use this as a lesson on self-love and self-acceptance because each student is going to make an egg that represents themselves. So they're going to have to focus on traits of themselves, character traits, and accepting those and loving themselves in that. My favorite part about this Makerspace activity is that it really is a classroom takeaway because each class that participates is going to be able to take their basket of eggs and they can display it in their classroom as a reminder back to their lesson that each student is unique but all work together. Here are my references for The Good Egg and our Makerspace textbook, and I hope that you guys are able to use this activity in your library.